Hey everybody. All right, so we're going to jump in and give you some additional information on some behaviors you found on your behavior assessment. So today we're going to do this video on cautious thinking. Two of the extremes being overly careful or overly impulsive. And some of you may have found yourself in the middle, but if you clicked on this video, that probably wasn't the case. So where are you at in the spectrum is the first piece, and your little green or blue guy, kind of your game of life person, like I like to call it, should be stationed most likely outside of the bar that would be ideal. If you're inside that bar, then this probably isn't a behavior that you want to be focused on. So if you're outside the bar and you're over here towards the careful side, then it's telling you that you're overly cautious when making decisions, even when you're in a situation where an immediate response is required. It also is going to correlate with your need for approval score. So if you flip through your report and find that piece, you'll find that the higher your need for approval, the more careful you may decide that you are. And as we influence one, we may influence the other. You're likely to consider all of the risks and lie to a more conservative side. So those are not bad things. We need people in our organization to make decisions in that manner. What we want to be cautious of or self-aware of is that it's too far to the careful side, and we want a more balanced approach. So a couple of tips and tricks to help you maybe work on bringing this more towards the center would be to ask questions so that you are heard. I like to suggest that you maybe mention to your significant other or your boss that this is something that you're working on, because sometimes we don't realize that we're taking a long time to make decisions over something that isn't necessarily warranting that much time. So if you mention that this is something that you're working on, they can bring awareness to the fact that you're maybe taking a long time to make a decision. And when you need to make a decision more quickly, that can be the person that you go to and vet your concerns. So you're asking questions about the concerns so that they can help you work through it. If you can verbalize what your concerns are and talk through it, then you may be able to come to a decision more quickly. The goal of those conversations is not to get someone to agree with you, though. The goal of those conversations is to disagree and commit to a solution. When we're seeking agreement or we're looking for consensus, it really is not helping any party, nor is it helping you to come to a more neutral process. So the goal in you coming to that conversation is to disagree and commit. The next tip that I have for you is kind of a fun one. For those of you who take a long time to make decisions, next time you're at a restaurant, rather than looking at the menu and taking a long time to decide, a fun thing to do, maybe it's not fun the first couple of times, but in an effort to make decisions more quickly, would be to open the menu, point, and that's what you're going to eat. Hopefully you're eating someplace where you like all of the food. But the point is that you don't need to peruse a menu for a long period of time. I know that sometimes I go to the same places over and over again, and I still look at the menu like something new is going to pop out at me, and it's not, it's the same menu. So open the menu, pick something quick, and commit that that's what you're going to do. It seems kind of an odd place to make a change. However, remember, when we talk about that iceberg, when we actually look at where it hits, only 10% of our thoughts, this 10% that's over the waterline, is actual conscious thought. And the 90% that's under the waterline is the unconscious things that we don't realize that we're telling ourselves. So we kind of have to break that cycle. This is very similar to the belief cycle, if you've seen us train on that. We have to break that cycle and get our unconscious thoughts to be, I don't need quite as much time to decide. All right, let's talk about my impulsive friends. So again, if you're in that bar, then this isn't necessarily something that could be taking up your time. There are other behaviors that you can click on those videos and talk about them. But for if you're impulsive, you're quick, maybe even too quick to make a decision. And the negative side to that is to reject another person's point of view. This is going to affect other behaviors on your report, similar to making sound decisions, planning and organizing, and maybe even your innovation score. I see sometimes my leaders that get like this. Your innovation score, while you want to be doing new things, you want to be, sending your team in a positive upward direction, what we need to be cautious of is that you're not missing some of the underlying details. This could also lead you to taking unnecessary risks. So while risk is a part of business and we weigh risk versus reward, what we don't want to do is make a decision so fast that we're unaware of the risks. So again, to kind of bring you back towards this more balanced approach, the best thing here is to go to this kind of confidant, this kind of trusted person that you have. And once you've made a decision, the objective here is to get that person to identify 2 to 3 opposite viewpoints of the decision that you've made. Again, the goal being not to change your mind or to agree with each other, but the goal being to disagree and commit to move forward. In a lot of cases, you may not even change your mind, but you have committed to what you decided and it still makes appropriate sense to move forward. If maybe you're in a situation or you're not quite comfortable talking through it with someone else yet, you can always do this with yourself by making a decision and then in your battle book or your journal, write 2 to 3 different opinions on a decision that you've made. Then you kind of force yourself into that counter debate. If any of you have horror stories about debate class in high school, and you're going to get yourself to see the other side and maybe consider something that you hadn't. For people who are impulsive, that feels like a very long, drawn out process. However, once you're in the routine of doing that, hey, this is my decision. Here's a couple things that could be the counter effects to it. Yep, I'm still going to go with that decision. It's not a long process. However, you are bringing yourself to a more balanced approach and you are moving away from rejecting another point of view. For my leaders who are impulsive, that is a key place for you to be aware of who you lead and why we do these behavior analysis. Because for people who don't make decisions similar to you, they may have a fear or a level of uncertainty that you did not appropriately vet a risk that you're taking. Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of times when you do need to quickly pivot and you don't have time to make sure that everybody's comfortable and feeling good in their skin. There are times, though, that you can step back and listen to maybe some of your more careful people give their side. The most important part here is we're looking for that attempt to disagree and commit so that you get the most value out of the time and your people are comfortable following the times that not only do you have time to vet it, but the times that you don't and you need to be impulsive and a risk taker as a leader. Again, great job on getting your report out and revisiting it. If there's anything that we can do to help you with this or any other behaviors, feel free to continue looking through the videos on our page, and any of our coaches would be happy to quickly review it or on your accountability call this week. So we hope everybody takes just a little bit of time to breathe life in, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.